Hello everybody and welcome to the MrFastscooby YouTube channel. Now this is going to be something a little bit different. We're going to Tankfest. Let's go.
One, two, yeah. Top down, flying through the city lights. Your name running circles in my mind tonight. Said I moved on, yeah, I lied that night. NG draw lit， 这把车开进思想里面，想踩刹车，去贪恋这种晚风余温。Every red light saying slow me down。But your memory keeps turning me around.
Oh, you got a...
I'll say, yeah, I recognise that.
Centurion. 7-1 maybe?
Well, I thought it was empty.
And then this is... I got an armoured vehicle. That looks... That does look like, to be fair, Leo.
AMX bloody...
It's an AMX 1390.
It is.
Very nice. And you've also got over here, you've got Bulldog. You've got a Nashorn.
Based on the finish that I'm sure
Oh, we'll be carrying that around. Yeah, I was going to say, they wouldn't have been old enough here, because that would have
Yeah.
got hot.
I've seen pictures of soldiers holding it there, and the problem with that is we've got the bolt on it. You take the pictures of it.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then you got the guns.
pistols.
Got the FAMAS at the back. There. But there is the legendary ship on. It is massive. Absolutely massive. We got the Leo 2A4, absolutely magnificent, and then we have got here the Leo AS1, the Assassin. Very, very nice. So yes, we have made it to the Tank Museum after a nice little 3-hour drive yesterday and then a 20-minute drive from where we were staying. We have arrived at the Tank Museum and we have got lots of Leopard tanks and coming into the Valentine and a couple of Shermans, followed by the Matilda. So we're just gonna have a wander around and we're gonna show you what is on store. We've got a Panzer III, we've got the M103 that we know in game, but there's the M10A2. We've got the Centurion 105. And we got one of my favourite in-game tanks, the M60. The reward vehicle, the Tier 10 American medium tank with its big ass cupola. Some things never change. Then you've got the Mark 10 Chieftain. That's a bit of kit. Hey, whoever drives it, 3-marked it. Hey. Got a T72M.
Yeah,
That's,
I thought it was the 140.
It looks pretty similar, to be fair. And we've got the Desert Warrior, the infantry fighting tank. This
T-72 stocks.
We've got the British Scorpion. And over here, we've got the Chaffee light tank. And then we've got the E2 Sherman, the Nashorn, Stug 3, then we got a little M5 Stuart for all of you stat padding low tier scrubs. Absolutely beautiful bit of kit. And then one of the main tanks that still runs down here, you've got the Fury. And then you've also got the Comet. And then just behind the Comet, you've got another Chaffee. We got the
I reckon I remember that tank.
T-3485, the that looks like a Senlac to me. Okay, it's a low-tiered one. We have got the STRV 103B, the Swedish Tier 10 TD with its heat shield on the front. All of its extra fuel on the side that's waiting to get blown up. And then on the back of these, you've got it where it shoots its empty cartridges out. We have found the ass of an Hetzer, German Tier 4 TD. Stat padder's dream because you can like near enough one shot pretty much most things. And there's also got those APE, the heat rounds that are brilliant. Then we got, by the looks of it, a Patton, Centurion, an old style Jeep. Yeah, there is. In this bit where we are at the moment, loads of different tanks in here. Hidden away amongst some others, you've got the Russian Tier 9 medium tank, the T-54. You can just see a little bit briefly. Very nice. We got ourselves a Walker Bulldog. Nice painted Chieftain, very nice. Very nice. Got ourselves a little EBR 90. It's actually not that tall, to be honest. And then you've got the EBR 75. That is the premium version. But yeah, that is caution, radiation risk. We've got an AMX-30B, and as per normal, look at the fucking size of that weak point on top. Jesus.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the board of directors, our sponsors, World of Tanks, Babcock, Arcadius, and everybody else that's helped out here today, and more importantly, on behalf of my very hard-working staff and volunteers that you'll see around the site, it is my greatest of pleasure to declare this Tankfest open.
British heavy tanks are slow. You'll see 2 Mark IVs, one male and one female. That's the different armament, but they are slow. They will only do cross country about 2 miles an hour. Now, some said that doesn't matter, because what these tanks are doing is pushing forward, crushing the wire, taking out machine guns, and then the infantry will clear the trenches with the bayonet and the grenade. The Whippet is faster. The original Whippet, you can have a look one in the museum, it's a very rare vehicle. It's a nightmare to drive. This, of course, I think is a little bit easier, but the original Whippet, 2 45 horsepower Tyler bus engines. 2 engines, 2 sets of transmission. I know enough people in their cars who have difficulty going with one. Only the best drivers could handle the Whippet. It's machine gun armed, and it'll do around about 8 miles an hour. Now this is a replica of a tank called Musical Box. When these things get behind the enemy lines, they cause absolute mayhem. Musical Box ran amok behind the German lines for about 9 hours, shooting the living daylights out of everything. He's moving it slower today because we have infantry following behind. The infantry are using tanks as a bit of mobile cover, and then we have the other 2 tanks. The tank with the red triangle is a replica of a tank that actually found at a place called Cobre, here in our hall, D-51 Deborah. She is from the Norfolk Tank Museum. It was a replica built at the age of and then behind that we have our own, we have the Warhorse tank that was built by Steven Spielberg's team for his crew. Now, Germans are opening up, there are rounds coming in. The British infantry have taken cover, they are returning fire. One round drops in. Now you'll see the infantry arms on. The early stage of the war, not advancing in straight lines, they are moving tactically. It's all about fire and movement. More and more of that. So the tanks are now closing in. You've got the Whippet, and then the Mark IV female machine gun armed, and then behind that, the Warhorse tank B-46. That is a replica of a Mark IV male. The female machine gun armed, the male has 6-pounder guns with secondary machine guns. Now the infantry are closing. The other thing about it is that the British infantry are now better armed. They have a Lewis gun, a light machine gun, so they're able to return a considerable volume of fire. The tanks are moving in, the German army is still, they're still holding their ground. I think these are great guys. You've got a 28-ton metal monster bearing down on you. I think you'd want to be out of the way. But at the moment, they are holding their ground, they're in cover. But the male tank, B-46, is closing with them. Another round dropping in. The infantry will start their rearming. No can magazine on the Lewis gun. It's a 30-round can magazine, so it's an automatic weapon, unlike the rifles, of course, bolt action. Now the infantry are going to move up and they're going to use the tanks as cover, and they are going to close with the enemy. There goes the Lewis gun in number 2. He's going to position himself quite carefully so he can get a decent field of fire. Tanks are running up. A lot of smoke going across the battlefield. The German army is now in retreat. I honestly can't say I blame them. Faced with a company of British infantry, 3 tanks. A company of Lancer, no matter how battle hardened, don't have lots off the back. Lots of fire coming in. 3 tanks moving. D-51 Deborah, that's a replica of a vehicle stand buried on the battlefield at Fekir, Pombray. And this particular tank, do go and say hello to the crews later. It's very, very good replica. Internally, it's just about there, and that's the real thing. Infantry moving forward. They take the first gun positions, they're going to move in on the second. German army is pulling back. The way it's looking is they're being pushed into retreat. This is another little bit of France liberated. Yes, the German army are now in retreat. Off they go to fight another day. Now this little scenario, this simple little scenario, would have been repeated constantly across the fields of France.
It is a bit of a beast, this one. Yeah, this it's a French heavy tank. You've got its main gun on the top, and then you've got its big boy on the front. And then you've got, I'm going to assume, a Panzer Wolf A. No, Panzer II. Panzer II actually looks like it's in decent nick, to be fair, the bodywork. Very nice. And then probably my most viewed TikTok clip is the Covenanter. It doesn't have the derp gun on it. Very cool. And then just around this corner we've got the Tiger 131. That is a beast. And this is the only way that the Furies could only way that Fury could kill it was straight up the ass. Very, very cool. And then if we go through this door, we'll go around. Through this door. We have got ourselves the Leopard. Go on.
I know this tank.
It's a Leopard. My second highest damage gain on tanks. And then that does have a beefy gun on it. Yeah, that's a beefy gun. And we got ourselves here the Chieftain. Absolute beauty of a tank. Absolutely stunning. another tank that's in the game. The T-62. In game is T-62A. It's Russian. From the Soviet Union. USSR. Can't work out off the top of my head what this one is. Oh, it's Challenger 2.
I've seen in Afghanistan.
Yes. Well, last seen just that now on the arena.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. Hey, at least it's got indicators.
Well, legal.
What have we got in here? We have Lily the Centurion. The Centurion is very nice. Lily the Centurion. And then just behind it we've got the Churchill. It looks like the Churchill 7. Yeah. And then we have got a Sherman. It's not the Sherman, it's the Firefly. It's another British medium tank.
Sherman Firefly.
But then we have ourselves the Cromwell. Probably one of the best tier 6s that's in the game. To be fair, absolute beauty. Got ourselves a Panther, the German tier 7 medium tank. Very nice bit of kit this. It's in good nick as well. Guys, I've just found my favourite TD of all time. There's the Yak Tiger. Look at that beauty of a tank. Absolutely stunning. Here is the Tiger 2, the German behemoth. It does have some thick tracks, very strong frontal armour. And if I just stand next to it, it's fucking tall as well. See, we got the T-3485 here, and then just next to it, we have got the J Panther, one of the most beautiful tank destroyers that were around in the World War II era, I would personally say. Chat, we found it. We have found Fog 2.
You hear that noise, you're going to have...
It is massive. Engineers from Lincoln. Very nice. Look at the length of it. You can see partly inside of it as well. You can see the gun cage. You see the vision ports at the front. Big enough to move into. It is. Massive. We found ourselves the Conqueror Just look at how fucking big the gun is. But yeah, this looks absolutely beautiful.
Technology in World War II was probably nowhere near what a track vehicle could do, but they're quieter. Hence, we saw the Dingo earlier, and that idea of going ahead, you can go further, quieter, so probably better for reconnaissance. British Army, 1960s, the two things together.
Depends on the terrain, depends on the circumstances. I mean, if you are in, say, the European theatre of operations, where there are plentiful roads, to be honest, I'd much rather have a Daimler Dingo than I would a Stuart or a Chap. By wireless, by radio, what you actually know.
So, ladies and gentlemen, one thing, I know a lot of you sitting out there at the moment, you're probably feeling a bit hot, sweaty around the edges and everything. We've got 80-year-old vehicles in there, and I've got a funny feeling that our M5 at the moment may have just overheated. So again, we tell all the drivers, I've mentioned this before sometimes, that idea of if you are watching a temperature gauge go through the roof, switch off, calm down. If there's a weird rattle, we don't want to suddenly find we're ruining an engine. So bear with us during the course of the day, because it is ridiculously hot for you, but it's also very hot for an 80-year-old engine and a tank there as well. So I have a feeling we'll sort that one out in a moment. We'll see some movement, but let's carry on with these lovely.
Well, going back to the German armour, which is over on the far side of the arena at the moment, the Stug 3, that begins life as a Sturmgeschütz. It's an assault gun. So it's based on a Panzer III chassis, and originally the first Stugs built have a short-barreled 75 millimetre gun, 7.5 centimetre gun. Now these two, both owned, they're not ours unfortunately, they're owned by other companies. The Nassau was brought to us by Dutch friends in Nassau. Very, very painstaking restoration from years of restoration. But both of those vehicles now are, I don't know whether you can call a tank concourse condition, but both of those vehicles, when you get the chance to go and have a closer look at the tank park, both the Stug and the Nassau are in superb condition. And we're very grateful to the Wheel Foundation for the Stug and to the Dutch friends of the Nassau. Give us a wave, guys. Not looking this way. Yes. We're bringing them over. A pair of superb vehicles. Do go and take a close.
75 millimetres there for a Mitchell bomber. They were going to put this gun in there. Clever snot 5.
Stug is just going around making her final circuit. As I said, that is effectively to lengthen Panzer IV chassis, but when you look at the size of that gun, they had to do quite a lot to the base of the tank to actually fit that in. They had to move the Maybach engine from the rear of the vehicle.
The best tank, it may not have the biggest gun or the best armour or the highest mobility, but it is a tank. And if you don't have anti-tank weapons, it may as well be a Tiger. That could be a problem. Behind it, we've got some Panzer Grenadiers and a 251. I'll let you lot argue over if we want to call it Hanomag or not, but I'm not going to get into that. So we're going to call it a 251. German half-track of the entire Second World War. It is a brilliant bit of kit, however, as is the way most of the time, they didn't got enough of them. Our one that we've got in the museum, that was an ambulance, so it's not just infantry carrier, it is an extremely versatile vehicle. In the back of that, there are some Panzer Grenadiers, troops specifically trained to operate alongside armour, each providing mutual protection to each other, which is going to be a problem for any unprepared Allied force. Behind that is a French van. Some of you be going, why is there a French? Spectrum, the light tank, the Chaffee. In comparison to previous generations of light tank, i.e. the Stuart, this one packs quite a bit bigger of a punch. You go from a 37 to a 75mm main gun. So exactly the same 75. on the Sherman. This one was designed to go at the bottom of a bomber for close air support. That's not as successful as it may sound, shockingly. To get down, they are not quite pinned yet, but it is close. There is artillery coming in, whether that be mortar fire or bigger artillery from the rear. I don't think the infantry really care, they just know they need to get their head down. That pack is opening up. It's going to be causing some damage to the chaffee. Remember, even if it doesn't penetrate, imagine putting your head in a bell, somebody hitting the side. Oh, that's not good for the pack there at all. That does appear to have knocked it out. If you're in a tank that's got hit by an armour-piercing round, imagine putting your head in a bell, hitting it with a hammer. It is going to disorientate the crew, it's going to hurt. But it does appear the crew have composed themselves enough to deal with the threat. In comes some more reinforcements. This is a truly multinational force at this point. They've got a British chappie, American Stuart coming in there, brilliant little vehicle, the Dingo, and crucially, more infantry. You can have as much armour as you like, but if you cannot support it with boots on the ground, it is not going to work. This is more than enough to make the Germans think about their current position. They're having to fall back rapidly now. I think, unfortunately, towards my current position, which is quite disconcerting, so I'm going to move out of the way. What we normally say at the museum is, in a recce vehicle like the Dingo, you are not going to want to fire that Bren gun. Things usually have gone wrong. In this situation, with infantry out in the open, drawing back, use it. That is now a mobile machine gun nest, effectively, that the enemy cannot really penetrate with their small arms. Germans have fallen back, whether this is a pre-planned position or just an impromptu, Alan's a bit of a dip in the ground here, I'm not sure. Don't think the British care about that either. They somewhat pin them in here. That is a lot of firepower. While the British rifle is going to be bolt action, they do have a Bren gun in the mix. Basically the entire British infantry is built around the Bren gun at this point. Let's get that thing into action. You're carrying ammunition. If the Bren gun runs out, you're in trouble. You give the Bren gun your ammunition. That is what's going to keep you in the fight. There's a bit of a pause here. It does appear, though, that the Germans are redeploying themselves. They've got some more infantry coming out the back of that truck. They're creating another defensive line, which is not good for Allied forces. What they're going to have to do now is probably act pretty decisively. If you allow them to dig in, if you allow your enemy to dig in well, it's going to make your job 10 times harder. If you can keep the momentum up, keep them moving back, keep them on their toes, you stand a much better chance. Right, this does appear to be a big offensive by the Allies here. The Germans are hunkering down around some hastily prepared positions. It does appear that we're trying to flank around the backside of that mound. Germans are having then to redeploy some of their forces to counter that one. We're squeezing them in here. But as you can see, the armour is now moving around. Most of the infantry has been distracted by the firefight going on the other side of the arena. This is allowing the armour to have a little bit more mobility. They're now countering this attack. The Germans aren't just going to sit here and take it. And let's be honest, the British are going to know this. There are three things inevitable in life: death, taxes, and German counterattacks. And if you're the British or the Allied backroom commander at this point, and you're not expecting a German counterattack, you're doing your job wrong. They will be expecting guaranteed something. Stuart is engaging with 37mm. That does appear. There's a lot of fire being exchanged here. Who's hitting who? No one really knows. No one really cares. There's a lot of infantry fire going on. It does appear that tanks are taking hits. They're dealing damage. 20 mils are going off. 50 mils, 37s, 75s. We've not managed to knock out that Panzer III though, which is a bit of a problem. So while the Panzer III is, let's be honest, obsolete by 1945, it is not obsolete against light armour. That is the FDKSN 251 doing what it's meant to do, supporting its infantry with its armour and that main gun. It is only a machine gun, but that is a rate of fire that no one can really match. Whether you need that rate of fire or not is a debate for another time, but it's terrifying. Unlike the British and the American use of the half-track, the Germans are much more aggressive with theirs. Oh wow! Overhead, that is the Battle Brick Memorial Flight Dakota. An absolutely vital part of the Allied logistical chain. They're providing airdrops to isolated units during Operation Army Gun, supplying formations, moving troops around the battlefield rapidly, continues to see service all the way into the Cold War, famously with the Berlin airlift. The Dakota eventually comes out of service with the American Army, with the American Air Force I should say, in 1975. Clearly that's distracted the Germans, like it distracted all of us. The Allies are making their move. We've brought heavier armour into the battle. Chaffee, we've brought enough Chaffee in, and a 76mm Sherman. Can't remember what it's called, I'm sure you can. Oh, here it comes over again. What the Allied armour has appeared to have done is completely encircle the German forces. They tried to escape, but we're using the mobility of armoured forces, which basically nobody else on the battlefield can do, and cut off their line of retreat. Or officially, the line of communication. The Germans are stuck. They ain't winning this one now. But Allied infantry coming up over the map, fighting down into the German positions. There is no cover from that. There is now a carousel of Allied armour moving around. Infantry are moving up to squeeze the pocket. Even the Deuce and the Half is getting in on the action. The Sherman takes a lot of flack for being under-armoured, undergunned. Not a very good tank. But I argue that is a load of rubbish. On our battlefield today, that's a very low pass for the coast again, yet again. Fury is the most powerful vehicle on this battlefield. Panzer III is totally outmatched, it cannot do anything against it. The infantry are now squeezing the pocket. Tanks are great, and that mobility was vital in isolating the German pocket, but if you need to weed them out, you can have to send the infantry in. Tanks are fantastic in comparison to artillery, for example. Meaning, it can do this. It can get right up, nice and personal with friendly infantry while dealing damage to enemy infantry. If you listen very carefully to the guys in the front row, you'll hear the infantry screaming at each other. There is no such thing as subtlety in situations like this. Hand signals, not much point, just scream at the men around you and get them to go where you want to. Smoke is being chucked in an effort to, well, that looks like signalling smoke, doesn't it? It's going to be quite painful for the Germans. We will see what happens. There's a bit of a lull here. A few pop shots going off, keeping everybody's heads down.
Is that 50 cal or is that a 50?
Oh, right. That was a call for armor support. Yeah, I think that battle group eviscerated now. The Panzer III appears to be knocked out. Fury's engaged with a 76. That Chaffee's opened up with a 75. There is not much left. There is just infantry, and they are really, really holding on here. You can see Allied infantry moving in and across through the wreckage of those burning vehicles, pursuing Germans. We've just squeezed them completely now. There is absolutely no hope the Germans are getting out of this one. Another use of the Willis Jeep at the back there. You can strap the machine guns to the top of it. Germans are falling back, they have given up. That appears to be a resounding success for this allied battle group. Being taken to prisoners, some have legged it, all the vehicles have been knocked out and are now captured. Which is one of the main ways the Tank Museum has so much World War II enemy armour, is that the British Army were pretty good at finishing off the battle. That does appear to be a successful operation by British and Allied forces. That demonstrates what you can do when Cromwell's it's nearly 800,000 are built over the course of its life. In the VCC, you have an example of a civilian-built one from, I believe, the 50s. So they are absolutely everywhere in that early Cold War period, not just in the military, but in civilian hands as well. Same story for these two. They're later war vehicles, and they continue to serve, especially for the Sherman and the Chaffee into the Korean War. And that early part of the Korean War, that is the most numerous American tank available.
So, Tankfest is over, 2026 come to an end, and what an event it was. I enjoyed myself. My first time ever going to Bovington Tank Museum in general, and the fact that it was Tankfest as well, I definitely will be going back to future events. Whilst I was at Tankfest, I was able to meet some of the wargaming staff, including Dwight from the Discord, Captain Taito, and then one of my favourite community contributors, I got to meet Quinn, Quinnetic. So I severely enjoyed my trip. I hope you enjoyed the vlog of Tankfest 2026. I definitely will be looking at going to 2027, 2028 Tankfest, and I'll catch you all in the next video.